Here.
Trustee Doro. Trustee Myers.
Here.
Trustee Walschlager. Trustee Connor. Trustee Ludtke.
Here.
President Baerschel.
Here. If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Led by Trustee Ludtke.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'd have public comments for anybody that'd like to give public comments, if they could come towards the podium.
Hello, Val Wisniewski, 511 Renton Road. I have a few items. I'll try to be quick. The first one is, I'm sure, as you've seen, the Heartland Inn, we're all excited to see what's going to go in there. But at the same time, I was somewhat disappointed because I saw the Heartland Inn sign was just painted over in white, which was kind of like a historic item. So I wanted to give the village a gift. A couple of years ago, we do a lot of work with local artists, and a couple of years ago, we had an artist come out and do some items around historic Heartland items, and she actually had taken a picture, and she does like some artsy type stuff to it. So it's a picture of the Heartland Inn sign with whatever, so I just kind of wanted to give that to the board or to the village as a, you know, as a remembrance to have wherever you want. So that's the first item. Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Second item that I have is November 22nd meeting. There was a roll call taken on certain items, and I think it's important that the minutes reflect how each trustee and member voted, because I think that's an important part of the public record, since it was not unanimous. Lastly, I just wanted to take a moment and publicly state how concerned I am with what happened at the November 22nd meeting. I've called and emailed various members of the board to get clarification, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me. At the end of the day, though, I still have an issue with how things were handled on November 22nd. The practice of suspending the rules in order to vote in an ordinance that isn't listed as an action item on the agenda is not okay, and it's not being transparent. There are reasons that there are 3 readings of an ordinance before an action or a vote can be taken. Ignoring the rules that are in place to move something along is not okay. Opinions can change, as in the street use permit, right? On the 3rd reading, all of a sudden that changed and it had to come back because a trustee had questions on it. More importantly, the public might not even be aware if something's an agenda item until its 3rd reading, and therefore you're denying them their right as a taxpayer to come up and speak during public comments, in my opinion. I've heard repeated justifications as to why it happened, but I just wanted to state for the public record that there was an ordinance that was not listed as an action item on the agenda, yet this board voted on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Gravenkamp, 618 Renson Road. I want to speak to something that also happened on the November 22nd meeting. I want to speak to what I call the morality clause that you want to be a part of the food truck ordinance. So firstly, any morality clause is subjective. So who decides the morality, and how does the resident of Heartland know and trust that our morality chief is actually moral? Number 2, a morality clause is inherently discriminatory. Whoever has to decide the morality of the food vendors must discriminate between what is morally acceptable and morally unacceptable. Thirdly, this ordinance makes us look like we think we're better than and self-righteous, and we need to keep people out in order to remain the village of Heartland. As far as I can tell, we want Heartland to look like we are open to food trucks, but we will make it so difficult for food truck vendors to operate here that the reality is we're not open to food trucks. So lastly, should we require background checks for all business owners, as well as village board members, to make sure that we all meet the moral clause that we want to have here in Heartland? That's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be really quick. I'm Katie Fleming. I live over at 322 Lawn Street in Heartland. I guess I also am kind of following up that I watched the video of the 22nd, and I saw something that made me kind of question a couple things. I was wondering if you guys landed anywhere on doing the background checks on people, because I know that was kind of in the morality, like, you know, who's coming in, who's not. I'm wondering who's paying for the background checks, like which budget that's coming out of. And I'm also wondering if that's going to be, I guess, paid for by the taxpayers, or if it's going to be paid in the fees that they're, you know, going to have to pay to come in and work in Heartland. I know that, you know, any reputable food truck vendor is going to have to follow all sorts of regulations for their own licensing and insurance and et cetera. So I guess I'm just wondering if they can prove that they've got all of those things in place, that they're, you know, handling food safe, that they're doing all the things. I guess I'm just wondering why the board then has to decide, or whomever the, you know, ultimate deciding factor is, why that person, or why they get to decide, you know, yes, you can come in, no, you can't come in. So I guess if they're following all the rules, if they've done all the things that they need to do, I could totally see saying, hey, we want proof of insurance, we want proof of, you know, whatever. I guess it just seems not right to say, oh, well, you did a bad thing 35 years ago, therefore you may not sell hot dogs in Heartland. Like, that just seems a little elitist, a little discriminatory. Just something to consider.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Heidi Brandt. I live at N59W28135 Ainsworth Road. And I'm here because the Village of Heartland has raised the speed limit on Highway KE north of K for that mile maybe to 50 miles per hour. And you come over this blind hill, and 240 feet from the top of the hill to Ainsworth Road. And a car going 50 miles per hour, it takes 198 feet to stop. But they don't do 50 now that you've raised it to 50. They're doing 60. So that takes them 268 feet to come to a stop. I have to come out on Ainsworth Road. At times I have to come out with my truck and my horse trailer that's 26 feet long. I'm going to get broadsided. And if that speed limit isn't reduced to 40, I'm going to be suing the Village of Heartland because of your carelessness in raising that speed limit. You don't have 50 miles an hour on KE going south past the school, past anywhere else. You don't have 50 miles an hour on basically any road in the Village of Heartland. And you have this 1 mile stretch that you now have in your possession because you've annexed that land. It isn't patrolled. I've never seen an officer on KE going north. They go to K and then they turn around, they go back. It's really dangerous. My neighbor who lives on KE, she's 80 years old, and she's like, it takes me 20, 30 minutes sometimes to go get my mail because I have to wait for the cars that are flying by. And I know we're trying to force Waukesha County to move that road, but not at my expense or my kids' expense or my neighbor's expense. It needs to be put back down to 40 or even lower. It takes 4 seconds for me, well, 3 to 4 seconds just to pull out safely. And that's the same amount of time it takes them from the top of that hill to that road. I can't do it with my truck and trailer. You need to change it.
I just want to clarify, I know we're not supposed to comment on this, but that's not our road, correct?
It is your road because I called Waukesha County.
K is not our road.
They said Heartland raised the speed limit because I've already been to Waukesha County.
That,
But I've been to Waukesha County and they said Heartland raised it. It was 40 and it just got raised.
we don't raise speed limits for the roads like that. That's a county road, that's all done by the county.
Well, I talked to them and they said you did it. So somewhere here, there's a lack of communication between the two.
We don't pave that road? Do we police that road?
We police it,
We
but
police it, but it's
we
not-
don't set speed limits or, I've been trying to get a flashing stop sign on a county highway for about a year now, so if I had the power to do that, I would've did it.
Well,
But
because
county highways
I went
jurisdiction
to
of the
Waukesha
county.
first and they said they didn't do it, so they sent me here.
We'll reach out to the county and see if we can get.
Okay.
We'll reach out to the county and see if we can get some clarification on why you may have gotten that answer and.
Okay,
and-
yeah, because I called their highway department, I went to the municipal and everything, so, all right, thank you.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. If there's no other comments, we'll move to the first item on the agenda, which is consideration of a motion to approve the village board minutes of the December 13th, 2021 meeting.
Also move to we approve the minutes with the change in my excitement of becoming team leader last time. I did not vote to void the, or abstain from the vouchers. So if we could make that adjustment with, that's my motion. My motion is to approve.
Is the second in agreement with that? Trustee Myers, who's making the motion, is saying that he intended to abstain, and it was an accident. I was not at the last meeting, but due to quorum, I will vote. I would have abstained if there was other people here, but I will be voting. I just want to clarify that. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have to say, this is the second time that that's come about in this last quarter, that we've had individuals need to recant a vote that has happened previously, and I just want to bring that forth, that myself, I really try hard to pay attention to these, and so I think we all should put our best foot forwards, because it doesn't look good, and I don't know, I got that weird feeling in my stomach right now, where I'm like, we're just recanting votes from a last meeting, and so I appreciate the honesty from Trustee Myers and coming forwards, but it's happened now a couple times, not a few. That's it, thank you.
And to clarify also, I don't think, or at least with my comments, as that part of the motion, that vote was already taken, and that's why I was clarifying, saying I believe that the comments should be in there, that the intention, but the vote was already taken, unless there's a separate motion.
I don't disagree.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item we have is consideration of a motion to approve the vouchers for payment in the amount of $363,638.56.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers for the said amount read.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the vouchers. Any discussion? Yes, we'll have an issue because we won't be able to take the vote.
Correct.
And we will have to push it down the road.
Table my motion.
If, Mike, can you give, is there a reason you have to abstain? I know you choose to abstain.
Village bought $12 worth of batteries from my company. And according to the
I would say
state,
we take the
because of
vote.
that, I am supposed to abstain from the payment that the village is paying my company, so.
Okay, well then we can just table it.
I'm happy to table it, specifically, especially to the comments that I just said. I appreciate that Trustee Myers is doing that.
Yep.
That's fair.
Concerns over tabling means late bills.
Well, the current one too, I'm going to abstain right now, so just to know it's on the record.
Yeah, the current one's.
The current one.
That's the late bill he's talking about.
Can you just not pay Trustee Myers? Just abstain from paying him?
Yeah, we could remove his item from this voucher list. If that-
According to my understanding, I am not supposed to approve any payments to my company, which.
That's correct.
Appreciate that, Trustee
Yeah,
Myers. It's very admirable, sir.
Yeah, you're
But
doing
they
it
have
right.
to be listed as far as the village, so my abstaining means that I didn't approve that payment. That's, So
Let's take that
I'm
payment
happy
out of the vouchers, let's get a new number here. That would be my ruling, is that we get a new number.
And I'm happy to amend my motion or change my motion on the floor, if need.
Can you? I think we can get a restatement here, because we have 4.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the vouchers in the amount said read, except for the payment to batteries products in the vouchers.
I'll second that.
So we have the new corrected motion, which should get us through.
my question then is, do I approve that?
Yes, because I removed your,
You can now.
Your
can now.
item will get pushed up, just that line item will get pushed to the next meeting. So your bill will be late,
You're
but all
gonna
the
have a
others
late
will
bill.
get paid.
I need that lunch money.
The $12 in batteries, I'll loan you the money, Mike.
Thank you. Sorry for the confusion.
no.
No, that's okay.
It's actually
Extremely
clarity, yeah,
admirable.
it's good.
This is the
Trustee
first time
Myers.
we've run into this.
Yep,
with
extremely
4
admirable. Thank you, sir.
People here. No discussion?
I just removed the company's name,
I was kind of waiting to see.
Hold on, I
if we-
just have a real question for our clerk. Since we have 4 here, we need isn't a 3-1? It's fine, you don't need all 4.
Correct. Yes,
So even if he abstained, we'd be fine with approving all of
correct.
them.
That is correct.
So you're not taking the majority of 7, you're taking the majority of the meeting.
Correct.
So,
So actually, you're right. We can just take the vote and he can abstain. Because it's still a majority. If it's a tie, it loses.
So we go back to the original motion, so Mike can get his $12.
Yep. And I think we all know what we're saying here, so.
the 880.
I'll retract my motion, and I'd like to put a motion forwards if okayed by trustee Pfeiffer. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers for payment in the amount of, that's said read.
Just for discussion, thank you for saying that, because you are correct. Quorum gets you into the meeting. Majority goes by the votes that are on the floor. So with that, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
That motion is carried. The next item that we have is consideration of actions related to licenses and permits. This is consideration of a motion to approve operators' bartenders' licenses. For Jennifer Bunn. And the chief approves, as well as the clerk.
I'll make a motion to approve the bartender's operator's license for Jennifer Bunn.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item we have is consideration of first reading of bill for an ordinance 1227-2021, an ordinance creating 22-168 through 22-173 of the Village of Heartland Code of Ordinances regulating mobile food vendors.
All right, real quick, a couple items with this. This is just the first reading of this item. So if you have changes, anything that you would like amended, please let me know. Again, with this, you will notice there is no fee in the schedule. That fee would come after it's passed. It would become part of our fee schedule. Just as we have other fees for park rentals, anything of that nature, we would come up with a fee schedule for this. I did have a concern looking at this, line 59, we say that it would be allowed to operate from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I don't know, 6 a.m. seemed a little aggressive, a little early, but I don't know. There's just something for the board to think on. And then the only other item I hadn't talked to Fire Chief about, it says all vehicles must pass inspection by the Heartland Fire Department. A copy of a passing inspection report must be submitted prior to approval. Is that something you would like to look at, or is that just?
Pretty much the only thing we would be worried about is the propane tank and how it's mounted.
Okay.
So,
I mean, just like I said, this is first reading. Think about it. Maybe talk to some of your fellow chiefs just to see if in their communities, if they do that or don't do that, we can always take it out or amend it.
I had a couple questions too on that. On the brought up in our questions, the ethical, checking the background on people. I guess our village is really kind of in a bind because of the sexual perverts that have been involved in our community, that have been in here, that we've been trying to break down and it'd be put as big a curtain on our village as possible to protect us from people being assigned into our community. So I kind of understand that. I questioned that. The thing was, there's nothing there about a sticker. There's some kind of a identification for the truck, the thing that's been approved, so our police can drive by and look and see if it's in an approved vehicle or not, so they don't have to do a lot of things on it. The state and county license and that, should they have that first before they come to us, or should we get our approval first, then they have to go and prove to us that they have the state and county? Or it seems to me that the state and county line should be on, they should have those when they come to us, that they've been set. And how do we address a business that wants to have a food truck on their private property? I understand we can't have private property if I'm gonna have it at my house. If they have approval, it says it's covered. The proposal that I had made previously is that it allowed businesses that could have a food truck on their premises for a promotion. I hate to limit some of our businesses that we're going out of our way to help, to limit them, that there's no way that they could have a special service or something. We can have it, but they can't, according to the way it's written, they can't sell anything. We have to take a look at that a little bit. And then the time, of course, that you talked about. That, time that they're gonna run is operating.
Are you willing, are you willing to email me possibly some of these questions and ideas, just so that we can
I can do that.
talk about it at the next board meeting? Because that'll be reading too. And again, just because it goes 3 meetings doesn't mean it has to be read after the 3rd. I don't think food trucks are gonna be beating down our door in January to come sell things. I wanna make sure that whatever we get on is what the board as a whole wants, and local businesses that do have restaurants are comfortable with and residents are comfortable with.
Question, so if you have a business in the village of Heartland, does that owner have to go through an investigation as they are operating business in the village of Heartland that withstands their moral character?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to add that though, maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to anyway, because it does clarify for everybody. Technically, anytime a business is operating in the village of Heartland, they should have a plan of operation, and when they're becoming a business, that gets turned in. Definitely alcohol establishments, but other businesses as well. And if they don't have listed that they want food trucks, then that could be enforced to prohibit and say you gotta come back to the village or work with the inspector, and then it comes to the village, and that would allow it. I'm speaking on private business-owned property only. It hasn't happened a lot. It has happened in the village before where there was concern, but it has not happened a lot. But for clarity, that is the appropriate, that is at least, I don't know if it's appropriate, that's what's in place right now, where if someone called it in, it's a tough call, but it could be a person, the village could go to that business and say, you've got to come before the village because this isn't part of your plan of operation. And this is beyond just, let's say you have an ice cream shop. It's beyond just selling ice cream in that building you own. So I just wanted to clarify. Any other discussion?
The restrictions, this is not like a beer and wine situation, this is food. Now, last time I went to McDonald's, they didn't have anything illegal there.
Correct.
And as far as competition, our businesses, I think our citizens need to have a ability to have things that they would desire to have, and so I don't want to get tied up in, people saying, I don't want any more competition for business, because I don't want, for my business, I don't want Walgreens to be able to sell batteries. I don't want Piggly Wiggly to sell batteries.
And I'm sure the doctors in town don't need another dentist. We don't need another eye doctor, you know, different things. We can't stop competition. We should just provide things that our citizens would like, so.
Just to bounce off that, some of the restaurateurs in the area, their concern is they've invested money into the brick and mortar business. They've improved buildings. I actually got to see a picture of what Beer Snobs looked like before all the improvements, whereas any of these food trucks would not have to pay any taxes beyond their permit to the village of Heartland.
And I'd like to stress that, because I've heard that too. And I don't know any businesses in our village that pay more taxes than I do. Because I have a house, a condo. The only taxes that we're paying to the village are real estate, our taxes, our condo. That's billed by the city, by the village. Everything else goes to the state. Now, if I have a business that has to buy a license to have a cigarette machine, a jukebox, sell liquor, those are special services that that business has. But as far as any business has to pay more taxes than a real estate, that somebody owns a house or a condo or whatever, they're paying the same taxes as we all are. There's this business tax that you have to pay to get a license, but that's different.
They also pay a personal property tax?
All businesses pay personal property tax.
A food truck would not.
Let's take that into consideration so that we, we can, we can continue as long as people have something new. But we have 2 more readings on this. So just these are things I think should be looked into. Obviously, when something's brought forward, the idea is to see if the board wants to approve it, but also along with that, there's an assumption that there's been a lot of work put into it, and that most likely it will pass. I shouldn't say most likely, but there's a good indication that you're at least at 50-50, because otherwise it wouldn't make it on the agenda. So I do think these are good conversations. I just want to make sure for the meetings time frame, these are things we need to look into. And that's why they have the 3 readings, to make sure it doesn't just shoot through. Anybody else? Is it okay if we move on to the next item on the agenda? So that first reading is done. The next item we have is a presentation of Hartland Public Library and their annual report.
So I put this report together for my library board just to show them some of the good stuff that we got accomplished this year. So besides our new meeting room, which you've all got to experience, the library system launched the Cafe app. We added a full-time librarian, and we added Rokus and more Explore passes. So those are now available too. Those Rokus have Disney Plus, Hulu, and Apple TV preloaded on them. For programming, we did all of our programming outdoors this summer. We had 6 movies that were co-sponsored with Park and Rec. We collaborated with Arrowhead High School to offer a COVID internet assistance program. We increased our passive craft opportunities for kids, teens, and adults, and we added more virtual programming that included our memory cafe, trivia, and 2 author visits. As for advocacy and outreach, we sent postcards to our legislators advocating for libraries. We had library card sign-up month in September. The library was represented at the Heartland Farmers Market all summer long, and we have resumed some of our nursing home outreach. And our summer reading program prizes were exclusively local businesses. So that's something we're pretty proud of. Continuing education and involvement this year included a lot of conferences, webinars, trainings. All of our staff are getting A's in our cybersecurity training. Don't mean to brag, but totally do. Our library board also had some big accomplishments this year. We have 2 new library board members. We updated our bylaws, updated 4 new policies, and increased learning opportunities for all of those board members. So when you check out at the library, at the bottom of your receipt, it'll tell you how much money you saved by using the library this year. So again, in 2021, we've had a local patron that will donate all of the money she saves at the library. So this picture was from the end of 2020. So this year was actually $3,500 that she donated back to the library just for us to continue to do all of the good things we're doing. And that last slide is the new library logo that the board just approved last month. There you have it.
It looks fantastic.
It is nice, eh?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
President, I just want to say that it's a real privilege to sit on the library board, and we've had some new board members come on, and it's been fantastic because we've had an opportunity to update our bylaws, so the new board members have had a chance to get involved in that process, as well as updating our policies, such as utilizing the actual meeting rooms. It's been really a blessing to serve on that board and see the transformation, especially coming out of COVID, because when you think library, you think about you can only go inside the door. And what our library staff was able to do and maneuver and pivot for our community was fantastic, and it kept Heartland's library kind of at top notch for the county and was one of the most well-received libraries this past year. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
The next item on the agenda is consideration of actions related to the Hartland Business Improvement District. We have a motion to appoint members to the bid board of directors. Tabby McBride with a term to expire December 31st, 2023. Steve Berger, Jeff Vanderstill, obviously that's myself, and Steve Ostendorf with terms to expire December 31st, 2024, and Tom Brass with a term to expire on December 31st, 2022.
President, would you like those done in separate motions, or are you can you call for one motion?
I will leave that up to the person that makes the motion. Both could be appropriate.
I would like to make a motion to appoint the members for the bid board of directors that were read and their dates that would expire.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the members' nominees that have been sent forth from the Business Improvement District to the village board.
I have a question. Is there anybody in the village representing the village on the board, or don't we not, is that not that required?
The administrator goes as an ex officio, so he does not vote, and he fills them in. And, you know, we'll talk about things and then brings it to our village board.
I thought that part of the plan was that there'd be somebody in the village would be on there, a voting member on there, but I don't know.
There's not, are you asking a member of the village or the village board?
The village?
I was thinking the village board.
Yeah,
We're
there's,
supposed to have a member on that committee.
yeah, there was never a member that's a voting member that strictly states that they must be a member of the village board. Previously, with the last president, Dave Lamarand was on that board, but he was on under his business. He was not on, and I am not going on as the president, I am going on under a business.
But we have a village staff member.
Correct.
Who serves as an ex officio member for constant communication.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item that we have is the motion to approve the Heartland Business Improvement District 2022 operating plan and budget.
Also move we approve the operating plan and budget.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bids budget and operating plan. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item that we have is a motion to approve the Heartland Business Improvement District 2021 annual report.
So move.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the report. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item on the agenda, consideration of a motion to approve a proposal for the Village Boardroom wall graphics project with Building Service, Inc., in the amount of $4,589.66.
So there's been some discussion about getting some quotes. It is the wall right over there that we were talking about to kind of make it look a little nice. The quote in your packet is for essentially everything, correct, Darlene?
That is correct.
It is the, not engineering, design, all the materials, everything associated with it. And the picture gives you an idea kind of what it would look like. So that's, obviously wouldn't say Building Service Inc., but it would be some, I believe, historical photos of Heartland, and have some other items on that wall to give it a little touch.
We'll get to see and review that design prior to implementation.
That would be my plan. They are aware of, they have seen pictures that I've shared with them from the library that are historical. This is kind of the first step in that process, and we would be getting some mock-ups, and so that would certainly come to the board for input.
So before you guys do make a motion, something hard with this, I know we have a pretty strict dollar amount of $45.89.66. Sometimes there's overages or things of that nature. You could make a motion for the $45.89 if you're comfortable with that. And obviously any changes would have to come back to the village board. Or you could direct me to do it. This was an item I could have approved because it's under the threshold, but I think it's a big enough item that I want you guys to, I think it would make it look nice, but I think it's up to you guys if you want to do that or leave the wall as it is.
Are you looking at all the walls? That wall and this?
Just that wall.
Just that one wall?
Yep.
Remember we had the Hartland sign that nobody liked?
Yeah. It's still behind the paint.
I did do a little bit of research into this, and I leaned on my wife a little bit as well, because she's got a marketing and photography background, and for the design work and the actual work being done, it's a really good price. Really good price. I've got a half the wall that size at my office, and we paid $3,500 just for the logo work. And if we're
I also feel comfortable with knowing that we've worked with the company in the past as well, so that they can continuing to complete the room. I think it's a good fit for us. I just had a quick question. It just said electrical connections of the panel system to provide power. We're not looking for power on that wall, right? So that wouldn't, because it's not included in this.
Right, no,
Yeah, okay.
That's part of the standard language.
Perfect.
Want to speak?
make the motion to approve the proposal for the boardroom wall graphics from building service in the amount of $45.89.66.
So I will second Trustee Pfeiffer, but I wanted to take into consideration interim administrator's comments. I think, Administrator, if you don't mind, you were looking for a little bit of leeway in our motion in case something were to go over, or?
You don't, you don't have to. If they come in and say, hey, it's 4605, I would just have to come back to you guys. And that's fine. I think we do it with change orders for project work, for road work.
Okay.
This is just kind of such a small amount. I just didn't know if, I don't want this to turn into an $8,000 thing and you're not aware of that. That's not our intention here.
So then why don't we have you come back with a change order then?
Yep,
Okay.
I'm good with that.
I'll make a motion. Or I'll second Trustee Pfeiffer's motion, excuse me.
It's been moved and seconded. Sorry. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I like that, leaving it that way, so that if they do come back with a $1,000 adder,
Yeah.
we have the opportunity to talk about it.
You guys will get to see this before it's on the wall.
I will call the question. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item that we have on the agenda is a consideration of a motion to approve the election inspectors with terms to expire December 31st, 2023.
Real quick, I just want to, the last page of this, it lists everybody's name and the party nomination. Those are specifically from that party given to our clerk, and our clerk has to accept those nominations for the political party. It's just some years Democrats send in more, some Republicans send in more. This is just kind of how it is. We don't have a say in that, correct? It just, you have to accept it, and which is fine.
And the others are just individuals that have come forth. And
That,
have
yeah,
interest
she's
to
always
serve
had
their
a staff,
community.
correct? Yeah, they're just normal staff of the clerks.
I move that we approve the election inspectors for the terms for expires December 31st, 2023.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the election inspectors. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. This time, we have announcements.
I said one quick announcement. We received our letter from the WILEAG, or our accreditation group here in the state of Wisconsin, and we did successfully complete our accreditation process and should be awarded a plaque next month sometime.
Good, congratulations.
A couple of things. On Thursday, December 30th, my Deputy Chief Rob Little will be retiring. He's got 33 years in the fire service overall, 23 in Lancaster, where he was the chief for 15 years, and then 10 years with us in different roles. We're having a little get-together at the firehouse between 10 and 1, some light snacks and some cake, and then his final call at 12:50. So if you want to stop in, please feel free to. Today we hit 1,000 calls. First time in the fire department history that we've ran that many calls in a year. So very proud of these guys. They did a great job, and they do a great job day in and day out for our citizens. So.
Anybody else have any announcements?
Try and open the ice rink when the weather gets better.
I saw that we
Better
collected,
in this case being cold.
I saw we collected over 5,000 pounds of food, which, for the holiday train.
We did, that's correct. There's a thank you out on the website, so I'm not going to list all the companies, but thanks to all the companies.
Staff and all of our departments too.
Yeah, final count, I think, was 5,500 pounds, monetarily around $3,000. The Canadian Pacific usually donates $4,500 annually. I don't know if they have or haven't done that, and that's all split. So I guess we could say probably around $7,500 for comparison purposes. Last year we had about 4,000 pounds of food. So we have about 1,500 more pounds of food this year. And I think last year we were around like $1,700 or $1,800 in cash, plus the 45. So probably about $1,200 more in cash this year as well. So.
Good.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, and no new variants. This will be the last virtual year of the holiday train, and they'll continue that. But great job to everybody that did that and gave.
President, I just wanted to say thank you to all of our committees and those volunteers and our departments. This is our last meeting of the year, and 2021 has had ups and downs, and we just have a stand-up community and village, and it's really represented well. So just kudos to all of our departments and all the volunteers and the members of your committees that you work with. Thank you.
I'll second that. Any other announcements? If not, before we leave, we'd need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All in favor? Aye. This meeting's adjourned.